Hello, everyone, and welcome to Invoice Automation to Accelerate Digital Transformation. This webcast is brought to you by CPA Practice Advisor and SAP Concur. I'm Gail Perry, Editor-in-Chief of CPA Practice Advisor, and I'll be your moderator today. Before we get started, let me explain how CPE for this webinar works. The webinar qualifies for 1 credit of continuing professional education. If you plan to earn CPE for attending this session, you must stay with us for at least 50 minutes. In addition, we will display 4 polling questions during the webinar. You will need to record an answer for at least 3 of the questions, as this is our verification that you are still watching the event. You will receive an email by the end of the day today that contains a link to your CPE certificate, assuming you met the requirements for CPE. Please note that we can give CPE credit for multiple people watching on the same computer. So if there are others in your office who would like to attend this event at the same computer, please have them join you now. And at the end of the event, we'll provide an opportunity for you to send us their email addresses. At any time, you can enter questions in the Ask a Question box provided on your screen, and our speakers will try to get to as many questions as possible during the presentation. Questions not answered during this broadcast will be addressed by the speakers afterwards by email. Note that slides for this presentation are available for download. They're in the Event Resources section on the left side of your screen. Also, our sponsor has provided us with several other useful resources for download, so please take a moment to click on those and download them before the event ends. Today, we're joined by Bobby Hodges and Mike Anderson from SAP Concur. I'll let them introduce themselves. We are now ready to begin.
All right, thanks so much. Hello, and thank you for joining today's webinar, Invoice Automation to Accelerate Digital Transformation. I'm your host for today, Bobby Hodges. I'm a Senior Product and Solution Go-to-Market Strategy Manager, and with me today is Mike Anderson, Senior Solution Consultant. Thanks so much for joining us. So it's no secret that automation is becoming ever more prevalent in our lives. For work in AP, it can have a tremendous positive impact. Today's webinar will help you get started thinking about how it can help your team. Here's what we'll cover. Business leader mindset, goals, and challenges, and evaluating your current position, the benefits of finance automation, and then we'll talk about taking the next steps in your invoice automation journey. So let's get started.
Transformation is a journey. Just being here today affirms your commitment to the digital transformation of your business. And many of you have probably already taken additional steps. Even if it wasn't your plan, chances are recent disruptions encouraged or even forced you to begin the transformation process. You may have needed to figure out how to enable your customers to pay without cash, find new channels to distribute your products or services, or run your business remotely. While the steps you took toward digital transformation have no doubt yielded benefits, there are still more you can take on this journey. Now is a great time to build on that momentum and shift your focus to a long-term strategy in order to capitalize on the changes you've already put in place.
You know, transformation can mean different things to each and every company. But one important thing to remember is defining it for your organization is very important.
So what now? A great place to start in your quest for future stability and success is with finance automation. Proving ROI quickly is vital to building confidence with stakeholders. So as you consider how to allocate your funds, look for solutions that let you get up and running quickly, but also helping your business operate more efficiently, keeping your employees productive and satisfied, and giving you the data you need to discover opportunities to save and grow. As an added bonus, you'll have better cash flow control in the future, so you're ready to make the most of future funding that comes your way. The good news is you're in great company on this journey. We recently commissioned a study with Analysis Mason to better understand why and how businesses are prioritizing finance automation, we will share those findings with you throughout the next slides. Before we dig into the survey results, though, we're going to have our first poll question.
Okay, our first question is, what do you see as the biggest benefit of AP automation? And your options are increased operational efficiency, improved employee experience, increased organizational agility, or all of the above. And if you have any difficulty answering this question on screen, you can type your answer in the Ask a Question box and we'll record it there. So go ahead and pick the best answer that seems appropriate to your organization and then click the Submit button.
And we'll give everyone a moment just to answer that question. All right. So I'm sure none of this is surprising, given that transformation is such a hot topic right now. Some of the biggest challenges that businesses expect to face include investing in technology to support growth, as well as protecting the firm against cybersecurity threats. Next, we'll look at the overarching goals. Financial decision makers are looking for solutions that will help them to automate and integrate various lines of businesses throughout the organization, including adopting travel, expense, and vendor invoice management software. They're looking to go beyond email and spreadsheets by implementing software that will help them gain greater visibility and insights into company spend while enabling them to save time and money. Looking at the overarching goals, we'll split them into 3 key areas. The first one is cost containment goals. 64% of firms want to increase operational efficiency. Being able to do more without additional finance employees was a top goal of around 57%. Next, business operation goals are focused on employee happiness and increasing agility. Improving employee satisfaction was top of mind of 63% of the organizations. And increasing organizational agility or speed to market was top of mind of 56%. For our final one, IT priorities. About 57% are focused on ensuring all IT can be remotely managed from the cloud, with 72% of IT leaders agreeing that digital transformation is a high priority and want to implement solutions that will help them further their firms on this journey, as this helps business to scale while helping them to remain agile.
According to that same study, finance leaders say that their teams are processing an average of 252 vendor invoices per month. Each member of their AP teams is spending around 13 hours per week processing invoices, and it's taking an estimated 11 days to get sign-off approval for vendor invoice payments from the time that invoices are received.
Now, implementing AP automation can help streamline invoice processing, reduce manual efforts, accelerate approval cycles, all while improving accuracy and providing better visibility and control over accounts payable processes. It frees up time and resources to allow for employees to focus on those more strategic tasks and provide better financial insights.
Yep. So let's look at the pain points of the manual invoice management. Fraud risk. The topic of fraud can be unpleasant to discuss, so businesses often don't. But it's a very real problem. In fact, the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners estimates the typical organization loses 5% of revenue annually to white-collar crime, such as fraud. Lack of visibility. A limited end-to-end view of the transaction associated with multiple payment methods results in extra costs, delays, chargebacks, and a payment cycle disruption. Inaccuracies and errors. Tons of data entry leads to incorrect vendor addresses, missed zip codes, failure to cross-check records and bank accounts to ensure accuracy. And cumbersome processes. Time is money, and companies are paying for hours of employee time dedicated to manual data entry and approval workflows that could be spent on more impactful work. And Bobby, when I look at these pain points, having talked to clients, day in and day out, there's two stories that come to mind. One is we actually had a client that had an $80,000 invoice that came in. They were processing, I think it was upwards of 60, 70,000 invoices a year. And this invoice went directly to an invoice owner who, was so busy, right? Had managed to approve it. And luckily through automation, the next level of that approval process was able to identify that it was actually a fraudulent invoice and catch it, before they sent out that $80,000 payment. So, that was definitely a mistake that they were glad they were able to catch, before it got too late in the process. And then,
funny.
Yeah, and along those lines too, right? I think one of the most common things we hear is fake vendors, right? So the nice thing is most automation solutions are going to catch those sorts of vendors up front, right? They're going to cross-check to make sure it's on an approved vendor list. And if it's not, we're going to notify individuals, right? And ask what the deal is, let's validate this vendor or identify it as fraudulent up front. So, I think these pain points are definitely something that we hear often, right? And automation can certainly eliminate a majority of them.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think finding the right employees, especially in today's environment, right, it can be extremely difficult. The scarcity of skilled workers, especially who possess, the talents and the skills and I guess just the time spent at the businesses, right? That can be very difficult to get right now. Hiring individuals with those desired skill sets, is becoming increasingly difficult. So emphasizing the need for automation solutions is pretty crucial to alleviate those resource constraints. So here are a few quick facts to highlight the business value of automation. On average, companies see a positive ROI within 8 months of automating invoice solutions. Companies see an estimated annual savings of $44,000 after adopting invoice automation. And it's estimated that each accounting staff member will save 12 to 13 hours per week by using invoice solutions. Now, we can start to take a look at some of those next steps.
Yeah, it's important to begin by evaluating your current level of automation. So here are some things to consider. Fully automated processes are purely paperless. So scanning, emailing, that doesn't count as automation. Little or no manual input should be needed for routing, matching, and paying invoices. You should be able to conduct your spend management remotely. Whether remote, on the go, in an emergency situation, access is key. You should have broad visibility into company and employee spend. As you automate and begin to gain more and more data, right, accumulate more and more data, you'll want a great way to sort through it. And this allows you to identify trends and outliers, as long as plan for short and long-term spending. And if you're using ERP add-on solutions to manage invoices, be sure they offer features like mobile access. I think we have our next poll question, I believe.
We are ready for our next question, which is, how automated are your current AP processes? And the answer options include completely automated, mostly automated, slightly automated, or not automated. So go ahead and select the one that's closest to your personal situation, and then click the submit button to send us your answer.
Wonderful. We'll give you just a few more seconds to get this one answered. All righty.
All right. So there are several things that provide opportunity for automation. Pick one or all of them. And here are just a few to get you thinking. Payments and reimbursements to suppliers and employees. Receipt and invoice capture and categorizations. Invoice processing workflows. And Bobby, when you look at these three, I guess, what do you think about how to get started?
I think, getting started is one of the most difficult parts, right?
Yeah.
I think making sure you are starting off having those difficult questions is probably the most important aspect. Start early, right? Ask those difficult questions. It's not going to hurt anybody's feelings, right, to ask the difficult questions here. I think it's one of the most important things. Have that open and honest conversation, not just within your team, but with the vendor you're picking. That's the most crucial part. And then, like I said, start early and ask the tough questions so you can identify which areas, whether it's payments, receipt capture, or invoice processing. Which one of those offers the best opportunity for your organization for automation.
Yeah, and I think change, right? Even good change can be disruptive. And so having a plan to make sure your new processes and technology is well understood and adopted by all users is critical to the success of finance automation. So when you look at using existing templates, bring stakeholders in early, right, anticipating objections and selecting the right solution, Bobby, when you look at those 4 items, what are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I think it goes back to the previous slide, right? Having those open and difficult, asking the difficult questions openly within your team. You want to make sure not only are your stakeholders understanding the value, you want to make sure those end users are understanding the value here as well. Ultimately, they're the ones who are going to be in the field, in the office, pushing those buttons, uploading those invoices, things like that. So having that clear communication and education are key to successfully adopting and embracing the benefits of finance automation. So, preparing yourself will make things a lot easier. There are many free tools, some of which you'll find in the resources slide of the presentation that can help you prepare and plan for automation. If you're struggling to answer any of these questions on the slide, we have downloadable tools to help you move forward.
Let's talk about bringing stakeholders in early. The decision to automate AP is rarely made by one person. Get ideas and perspectives from everyone who will be impacted. That includes the CFO, IT, procurement, and anyone else with an interest in the financial health of the company. Your first stop should be with your AP team, who are likely to have a wealth of insights and ideas on improving the processes they use every day.
Totally agree, Mike.
And you may encounter a variety of objections as you move forward with adopting automation. Prepare your answers to common objections and don't be afraid to seek support from the solution vendors that you are considering. They likely have helped other companies through the objections phase of the process. And, again, Bobby, this is something that, is a large part of my role day in and day out, is to kind of hear concerns from businesses of all sizes, even existing clients for potentially new products, right? And understand what the concerns are. And, one that I think about often is had a construction client that was concerned that, guys on the job site weren't techie, so to speak, right? They didn't necessarily embrace cell phones, much less, the automation and mobile aspect of it. But through the rest of the stakeholders, we were able to get buy-in and actually move forward with the project. And a month later, they came back and were praising, right, the value of automation because of the time savings that they gained on a project like that, right, and their ability to work mobily and just really accelerate, right, their day from some of the things that shouldn't take a lot of time, right, and focus on more value-driven tasks.
Yeah, I'm sure it allowed them to skip going into the office at the end of the day and probably get home sooner.
Yep.
So, I think it's important, make sure you've worked through the return on investment, right? Not just with the vendor, but, with your stakeholders, with those end users, because it will be extremely helpful when any of those objection conversations come into play. And as we know, there's always some objections.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about selecting the right solution, right? And some things to consider. So automated invoice capture. In a truly automated solution, all invoices enter the system electronically using optical character recognition, or OCR. Look for a solution that pairs OCR with AI and machine learning capabilities and human auditors to bring accuracy rates closer to 100%. This ensures all data is accurate for approvals and before payment goes out the door. Scalability. You want your invoice management solution to scale with your business. Therefore, your solution should automate the entire AP process, from invoice submission to routing to approvals, and provide full visibility and control at every step in the process. Automation should also extend to matching invoices to goods received. Workflow optimization and customization. Your new invoice management solution should standardize and automate the workflow, making it more streamlined, efficient, and intelligent, so it can scale with your business. At the same time, it should have the flexibility for your AP team to outsource parts of the workflow and customize routing rules, policies, and workflows should circumstances change. Reporting capabilities. Look for solutions that include standard, predefined reports and built-in tools for monitoring key metrics. Ready-to-use instant reporting capabilities deliver near real-time accurate view of payables to continuously improve AP performance and make more informed decisions around payables to optimize cash flow. Mobile apps. Make sure your solution offers a mobile app to give people access to your AP automation solution wherever they are. An intuitive interface allows remote workers, field staff, and frequent travelers to stay connected and engaged in the AP process, with the ability to approve or reject invoices on the go. This helps improve invoice processing times and overall efficiency. Flexible options. The past few years have highlighted the need to be able to handle a variety of new payment types and vendors from outside the approved system. Your automated AP solution should be adaptable to add new payment types and vendors without a lot of extra work or added risk of errors and exceptions. Extended capabilities. Make sure the solution meets your business needs today and can grow with you in the future. It must be ready to integrate with the systems you already have in place, such as your ERP, CRM, and financial and accounting solutions, as well as those you may use in the future. Work with your internal IT resources or a solutions consultant to determine your needs. Ease of use. Your AP solution has to be accessible from anywhere, so your people can use it in the office, in their home office, or anywhere on the go. The best solution has an intuitive workflow that guides employees through exactly what they need to do and even does some of the work for them for the best employee experience possible. And, Bobby, things come up every day, right? Family,
Yeah.
Dishwasher can go out, right? Things at home, etc. And, using AP automation, you can be prepared for anything that may arise. And through my years, I've been lucky enough to work with some individuals that actually implemented, an automated solution, right, before joining the company I was at. And one of those individuals told me that there was a scenario where she had just implemented, right, an automated invoice solution and had to have a sudden surgery that was unplanned. And she was the lead of this project. And she told me that, how easy it was to manage that solution remotely, right? It let her know, or it really eased her mind that she had made the right decision, right? And it's not an ideal situation to have to, manage a project like that remotely from a hospital, but the fact that she was able to do it easily, right, really gave her the peace of mind again that she had made the right decision.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great story, Mike. And, you kind of never know what's going to happen and what the future holds, right? Especially with your business. You might pivot, you might expand significantly. So I think it's really important, outside of the list you just covered, to see how will that vendor grow with your organization. Does the implementation timeline include things like configuration, right? These are all important questions to ask. And it all comes down to, what vendor is going to show you the most value for your organization. So with that, I think we're off to our next poll question.
All right, this is our third poll question. Remember, you need to answer at least 3 questions in order to qualify for CPE credit. Our question is, which functionality would most benefit you in your daily work? And the answer options are automated invoice capture, scalability, workflow optimization and customization, reporting capabilities, or all of the above. So go ahead and check whichever is most appropriate to you and your situation, and then click the submit button. And again, if you have any trouble answering these questions online, sometimes people who are watching this on a phone can't see the pop-up questions. You can go ahead and put your answer in the Ask a Question box.
Awesome. I'll give you just a little more time to get those questions answered. Alrighty. So speaking of questions.
Yeah, let's go over some of the questions to ask, right? Solution providers. Basically questions that I get to answer, right? Day in and day out. So first, do you supplement OCR, or again, optical character recognition, with human validation and AI machine learning technology, right? And the reason this one is important is that OCR by itself is kind of an industry standard technology, right? It's improving, but it's not perfect yet. And so by adding that human element, right, the human set of eyes, it can take automation to nearly 100% accuracy, which is going to save time overall through this entire process, right? And it really comes into play if you have things like handwriting on invoices, right? Or maybe just unique invoice styles that the OCR might not catch. That human validation is really going to take it to the next level. Do you have a partner ecosystem that offers me flexibility and payment options? And it's important to find a solution that's willing to work with you for the way you want to pay your vendors. And whether that be ACH, check, wire, or other means, you want to make sure that the solution you're looking at offers the options that you want, both now and again in the future. What pre-configured reporting and dashboards are available to see invoice and vendor status? So again, out of the box, right, visibility is crucial to identify value early on. And so the ability to create custom reports is great, but having some ready to go on day one will really be a great resource for your teams. Knowing how long it will take to implement the solution and get users fully onboarded. An automated solution like this is a large project, and having a timeline is important for you to plan the resources that you're going to need, and also the rollout dates involved with the project, right? And depending on the solution you would go with and the size of your organization, those timelines can vary, greatly. So just making sure that you understand the implementation time. Understanding, if you're confused and have a question about the solution, how do you get help? How many support options do you offer? Make sure you ask about resources that are readily available, and the hours of support availability as well, right? We've probably all been there working at 10, 11, midnight or later, and wanting to understand, how you can get help if needed, really 24/7 is an important question to ask. What other systems do you integrate with? So a solution that cannot integrate with your ERP or, accounting system isn't really going to provide the value you need. So understanding, if it can and how is really important. Do you have a mobile app, and what can users do with it? This is a really important question. Be sure to ask about limitations, if there are any. Sometimes solutions might have, severely limited functionality on the mobile app versus being logged in, through a desktop. Ask about updates, how often they are, if there's downtime, and of course, ease of use. Again, the ability to use the mobile app on the go and often is of vital importance. Will I have control of and access to my invoices at all times? It is your data, so you'll want to ensure access to it whenever you need it. How will I get my AP data into my ERP or financial system? So again, going back to integration, right? What methods of integration are offered, and what are the benefits of those? So often it might be through a tailored flat file, or potentially using a connector or APIs. And it's great to meet with integration specialists on both sides, both in-house and with the solution provider you're looking at. And then lastly, how is my invoice data protected and secured, right? In this day and age, security is paramount. So ask for security information details and work with the solutions security specialist to ensure you feel great about your data being protected.
Those are some great questions, Mike. I think it's important to feel the full confidence in your solution provider. I know this slide says, these are questions to ask your solution provider, but I think there are also questions you want to ask your AP team, right? What are the answers for your organization to each one of these questions? Take those, ask your service provider, see if those answers that they give you align with what your organization is desiring. So I think this is a super important slide here. Just be sure to ask all the questions to ensure that that solution provider you found is the right one.
Yeah, and now let's talk about some of the upsides, right? As we've talked about the benefits of AP automation and what it can mean to you. So AP automation significantly reduces the time it takes AP personnel to process and pay expense reports and vendor invoices, simplifying these workflows from receipt to payment. It's going to save time, right? Shorten month-end close time. It's going to save money. Save on late fees for invoices being sent to the wrong person or address. Cut costs. Find and cut unnecessary expenses with visibility in where you are spending. An employee experience. Rather than spending time with manual invoice processing, teams can use time to analyze trends and be more strategic. And Bobby, this is one of the best parts, right, of my role, is to hear the success stories and what people do with it. And one that really stands out to me is when I first started, I was working primarily with smaller businesses, and I had an AP leader that had said she hadn't taken a vacation in 12 years because
Wow.
She processed every invoice, right? And so that was predominantly what she did. And she was worried that even taking a few days off, right, would result in essentially an overflow that would be impossible to catch back up on. And so they ended up going with our automated solution. And I think I still have the email where she said she was able to go on her first vacation, right, in 12 years. So really, definitely an impactful story for me. Yeah, to hear that.
Very nice. And let's face it, right? Those manually shuffling those papers, Mike, is no one's best work. So removing paper and eliminating those manual processes, as Mike did just say, can free up that staff time so they can do more valuable work, like negotiating better terms with suppliers or taking that long overdue vacation. This will help employees feel more fulfilled and can make a real impact in your bottom line. Automation can help the bottom line by reducing some of those hard costs and the soft costs of recruiting. Mike, I think you had another story here you wanted to share to the group.
Yeah. So again, being able to cross paths with so many unique individuals, it was another person that had implemented, right, an automated solution, and they had essentially an AP analyst, right, that was 24/7 processing invoices and involved in this process, the workflow, right, that was their day to day. But once they implemented an automated solution, that individual started to do a little bit of cross training in another department, and they ended up getting into management in that that other department. And so yeah, it was kind of an upward career growth for individuals, because again, automation can free up capacity for you to focus on more value driven tasks, right? And it's going to give you the opportunity for employees to really grow themselves as well.
That's a great story. I love that one. All right. I think next we got another final poll question here.
Yes, this is our final polling question, and this is a fun question. What would you do with the time freed up by automation? And your options are catch up on work projects that have been put on the back burner, spend time on activities outside of work, or I'm not sure, but I would enjoy it. So pick the one that's most appropriate to you and click submit.
I know my golf clubs could use some sunshine about now. All right, give you just a few seconds for any of our mobile users. All right.
All right. So if you're ready to explore automation for your company, we are here to help. The savings and benefits of Concur Invoice speak for themselves. And in the resources widget, you'll see a list of free resources that can help no matter your stage. We're here to partner and support you on your AP automation journey.
Thanks so much, Mike. I think you had some great stories about some real cool use cases and ways people did save time, energy, and were able to get outside and get a little bit of a tan, I hope.
Yeah.
I think now we have some time to answer a few questions from the audience. Yeah.
Do you want me to start with the top one there, Bobby? The implementation? Yeah. So the question is, what is the implementation process for manual process to invoice automation for small firms in terms of resources? And it's a great question, right? And it's one I got often when I worked, primarily in that small business segment. So, again, speaking from the Concur side, basically, you're going to be provided a workbook, right? So things you would think you would need for automation, whether it be a list of, the GL accounts, potential users, a workflow, right? An approval workflow, thought process. And it's kind of in a nice, clean Excel format for you to fill out ahead of time. And then, you end up having a handful of meetings. Typically, it's one or two individuals that sort of kind of lead the project from your side, along with one or two individuals on the Concur side, right? Kind of a project lead. And you end up going through between, I would say, 5 to 10 hours together to get that initial build. And then from there, it's really up to you, right? You know your organization better than anyone. And so in terms of a rollout to the rest of the company, oftentimes you're going to be given options. Maybe that's training a champion or two that can then go through and train, the organization after the fact, or maybe we try to do everyone, up front at once. I guess the big thing would be you have some flexibility, right? Just based on your own knowledge of your organization and in how you want to achieve that.
Nice. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Alrighty, I think the next one here, how do I build a business case for AP automation? If you don't mind, I'll take this one, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you can really kind of distill this down into quite a few things. First one is showcase the cost savings, right? I think that's one way to get the executive approval and really be able to show how it's going to affect the business as a whole. Next one is, the increased efficiency. You want to be able to showcase that increased efficiency and how those dollars will convert to the efficiency savings. Next one is those reducing errors, right? Start tracking some of those errors that you're getting now, how many you're getting per month, where they're coming from. And like I said earlier, right, ask the vendor those difficult questions. Take those errors to them and ask if that solution will help them reduce those specific errors. And you also want to talk about the improved compliance in that business case, as well as the enhanced visibility. As these are going to be the key benefits in your business case for AP automation.
All right.
I think we got time for maybe one or two more, Mike.
Yeah, I can do this one here. So how does AP automation help to shorten month-end processes and save money? That's a great question, right? So it's going to accelerate invoice processing right from the get-go, right? And that's one of the main ways is eliminating the manual data entry, right? An invoice is coming in, we're leveraging that OCR and hopefully human validation. So no one is needing to type that invoice information into a computer, right? So that in itself is a very large time savings. And then improving the approval workflow, right? Instead of maybe having to run from desk to desk or send emails back and forth, right? An automated solution is going to simply notify those individuals through, maybe a push alert to the app or notification, right, via email, and make it really easy to approve those invoices on the go, right? You're not going to have lost invoices in that process, which all of this is going to improve accuracy, right? And so just those things together really, end up shortening that process. I think, Bobby, we mentioned earlier, it was something like 11 or 12 days on average from an invoice coming in to getting to ready for approval. Well,
yeah.
With an automated solution, oftentimes that invoice is ready to be approved within a day or two of you receiving it, right? So it really shortens it up front, allows you to ensure you're getting those vendor payments out right on time, and yeah, really shortens that process.
Yeah, and I think Mike, for those users that are in the field, like your construction example, right? I think that's a phenomenal use case for us here. Most of the time, people in the field don't want to go back into the office. I know it's kind of like the dreading fact, right? After you've been out there all day, next thing you have to do now is go push some papers and get those things uploaded into the system, automating those tasks, being able to just sit in the truck or, sit outside after work and get those things approved. Now it's definitely makes life a little easier at the end of the day.
Yep.
Awesome. We've got a couple more questions here I think we want to hit. So I think that this next one, what's the best way to influence stakeholders That includes executives to consider a new automation solution. So I know I got a couple ideas here, Mike, and feel free to add on. I think we touched on a couple of these with question one, but we'll definitely go back through. So, demonstrating those tangible benefits, especially the executives in the business, right? They want to see, return on investment. They want to know what kind of strategic advantages is this automation going to provide their organization. They also want to see, things that are backed by data. They want to see some case studies that have data points in them. What resources does the vendor have to provide you with those case studies? References, things like that. I think those are probably the most valuable points in my mind right now to help win that stakeholder buy-in and get that executive support.
Yeah, and I would say, Bobby, one other thing would be, identify what is most important to them up front and bring that to the table when you're going through, right, when you're vetting out solutions. So something that I really try to do is exactly that, right? Bring what they need for buy-in to the table right away so that, if I'm doing a demonstration, I can showcase, hey, this is how this is going to help. My understanding is you had some concerns about this, so we can focus on it, right? Right up front. Yeah. I think, definitely let people know.
I think that goes back to one of the earlier slides in this presentation, right? It was ask those difficult questions. Have those meetings prior to even choosing a vendor, or having the discussions with the vendors, right? So exactly what your executives, your stakeholders are looking for. Work with the AP teams, sit down with everyone, not just the managers, right? You really want to talk to the people who are, pushing those papers if you're in a highly manual process environment, or if you're looking to switch from a solution right now that, you've outgrown. You want to really get a feel for what those changes are that the users are looking for. So I think that's great. I think it's just go back, ask the difficult questions, and start early, right? I think that's one problem, at least in my time that I've seen, is a lot of people try to rush through the process. They get an idea in their head. I think, take a step back, look at all the vendors and just make sure you're asking all the questions.
Sure.
All right. And I think we got some more time for another question here. Mike, you can feel free to take this one if you want. How do I get started, right? Like if someone's interested in actually automating their AP process, how would they get started? And, what are some challenges that you find that people face?
Yeah, I think my recommendation would be to identify any pains in the process you have, right? I think understanding what could be better, where could we have some time savings, right? Identify some of the weaknesses in the current process, and then setting, clear goals for what you want the future process to look like, So oftentimes I'll ask the question, if you could wave a magic wand, what would the AP process look like? And it is beneficial for you to actually sit down and go through that, right? Because you can bring that to a table when you're looking at an automated solution, because as we mentioned earlier, right, there's going to be some change management. And I would say that is one of the challenges. But even good change is going to have some growing pains, right, in that change management. And so certainly we have resources available, right? We've done this thousands of times, so we understand what, some of those bumps are and how to best get individuals, over them and moving forward. But I think that would be my top recommendation, Bobby, would be just identify that pain, think about the future, and then, let that hopefully reliable provider kind of explain how we can get you there.
Yeah, exactly. I think you really hit the nail on the head. the hammer with change management and the user adoption pieces there. I think helping to enable and educate the AP users, right? The solution users. I think that's one of the most important pieces, and not to go back to it, but start early with that. I don't think it's there's too early of a time that you can start enabling and educating your employees on the new solution. So, when you do get everything implemented, they're ready to go, hit the ground running, and start processing those AP documents as quickly and as best as possible there. All right, so I think that's all the time we have now for questions. I know we have this PowerPoint available for download for everyone. So we do have these great resources we provided here. So, feel free, download, click the links, read through it, and, share with your executives, share with your AP users so they can get a feel of this presentation as well. And last but not least, we'd like to thank you for joining today's session. Hopefully you found the information helpful and are ready to take a closer look at ways to automate your business and increase those efficiencies. So thanks so much for joining us, and thank you, Mike, for joining today.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks, Bobby and Mike, for an excellent and informative presentation. We hope all of you enjoyed today's webinar. We'd like to thank you for attending and sharing your time with us. And also, we need to thank SAP Concur for making this event possible and enabling us to offer a free CPE credit to each attendee. Don't forget to click the event resources section on your screen, and you can download those, the copy of today's PowerPoint and also the other resources mentioned today. In particular, download the first one, the PowerPoint, because it has the links in it to all the other resources that are listed there. We would like to remind you at this point that you'll receive an email later today that has a link to your CPE certificate. So look for that. If you have any questions about CPE, please contact me directly at gperry, Gperry, at cpapracticeadvisor.com. Also, if others are watching this event with you at the same computer and they require CPE credit, you can email me their names and email addresses. Again, that's gperry at cpapracticeadvisor.com. Right after this event, you will be presented with the post-event survey evaluation form that will appear on your screen. We hope you'll take just a moment to share your feedback with us so that we can continue to improve our webinar series. Thanks again, everyone, and our audio will end now.